webinar, sound by sound, focusing on phonics in the French primary classroom. I had a big spiel about how much I appreciate all of you, and that's why I do webinars, to say thank you for pushing me to be a better teacher. But you're going to miss that spiel now because I've already wasted half an hour. So we will just jump right in to the good part. And what I want you to think about during this webinar is kind of leveled readers versus phonics, and kind of why letting go of leveled readers and giving our students like different kinds of practice, like the chance to practice the sounds we're teaching, makes a really big difference in how our students learn to read. And when we use leveled readers, our students are learning to kind of over rely on the pictures. They're learning to guess words, and they are learning that reading is just like making words up, or like memorizing, or not actually using the code to like sound out new words. So I don't know, if you teach grade 1 or grade 2, you might relate to this. I'm in grade 1 this year, and I have been in grade 1 since the year after COVID. So my students often enter and they come to me and they still don't understand like how reading works, even though on paper they've got to level 3 or whatever the level reader magic number is. They come to me in grade 1 and like I give them a book they haven't seen before, and they look at me like I have 3 heads. Like they don't understand how reading works. They pull words from the sky, they memorize, they guess, they look at the picture. Sometimes they read with their eyes closed. I've literally had kids be like, I can read this book with my eyes closed, close their eyes and recite it. Like that's not reading. So that's kind of why we want to get away from, and that's kind of my beef with leveled readers. And I'll get more about into that as we go. But I do believe that with consistency, effort, and a solid plan, like we can actually teach our students to read. And by read, I mean read anything that they want to read, not just the specific leveled reader that you taught them. Like I definitely think it's possible. So this is a video of my daughter. She is 6. She's in grade 1. Her teacher is Madame Monique, who is actually Madame Yvette, like Yvette Rosignol's daughter. So if you follow her on Instagram or TPT, her daughter is my daughter's teacher, which is a funny small world moment. But I taught her to read in maternelle like at home. And when she came home with level 1, 2 readers, I took them away and we did not read them. We read decodable readers instead, and I taught her how reading actually works. And you can see this is a Christmas card we got in the mail. She like literally took it out of the envelope. That was part of the video, but it was like 20 seconds for her to take it out of the envelope, so I cut that part out. So she got this Christmas card in the mail. You can see she opened it and she could read this Christmas card to herself that was like had lots of words that like we don't read regularly, and there's no way she memorized. So I'll play the video so you can hear her. What's it say?
Hope your Christmas is very merry, always bright, and filled with reasons to smile. Hoping you have a spectacular Christmas.
So you can see like the word that tripped up, it was printed, like he hand wrote it himself. So I think that the letters just kind of, the E and the C looked the same, and that confused her. But you can see that she obviously is reading, because there's no pictures in that card that she can look at to guess. Like these are not words that she has memorized like and read frequently in grade 1. Like, but she just understands how reading works, and she has the confidence to know when she picks something up, she knows what to do to figure out the words. So I just wanted to show that video. Like this is what I want for all of my students. Like I want them to know that they can read whatever they want. Like even if they've never read it before, they have the tools that they need to like attack the words and figure out what they mean. Obviously she can't read like a grade 8 science textbook. She doesn't have any like context about that or knowledge about that. And those words are very difficult, but anything that kind of fits within her like zone of development and like is appropriate for her age group, she can read and she knows what to do. So the more I learn about reading, and when I did this with Leah and saw like what a difference it makes, now I'm really passionate about getting other kids reading and like helping teachers learn how to do this too, so that we can help our students learn how to read and do that without like, you know, recreating the wheel and sacrificing our ability to have a life, because it's a lot of work to completely overhaul our teaching. And we're asked to do that a lot. And it gets a little bit tiring when you're told over and over, you have to change this, you have to change this. But I do really believe in this. And I do think that our kids have a lot of potential. And if we teach them to read like in a more phonics-based way, we can take them a lot further than if we just use level readers. You couldn't hear Leah. Okay. Well, sorry. In the replay, hopefully you will hear her, but it was a Christmas card about like, hope you have a spectacular Christmas and may your days be filled with merry and bright. Like, I don't know, like anyway, it was just a Christmas card that she read word for word, like completely on her own without any help, just to show that there's no pictures in there. There's tricky words in there that she wouldn't have memorized, but she still knew what to do. So hopefully in the replay, you'll be able to hear her. Okay. So I'm Andrea. If you don't know me, my Instagram is mme.andrea. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of one kid. I have one dog. I play hockey all the time, like 3 times a week. I teach grade 1 right now. Sometimes I teach maternelle. I like to watch Selling Sunset. That's like Schitt's Creek. Those are like the only things I like to watch on TV. And I also have a TPT store called Maternelle avec Madame Andrea, even though I'm in Premiere Année now. And I have a French teacher membership called Enseignants Ensemble that helps teachers like save time and save their sanity by providing resources that I've like actually tried in my actual classroom with my actual students and that I'm using as well. And a lot of support and like no judgment, because I am in like, I know what teaching is and I don't judge anybody. And I think we need a lot of support and we don't always get it inside of our school. And I'm a legit, and it was really hard for me to like type this slide, but I do want you to know that I'm not just like coming out of the woodwork and saying these things like based on nothing. So I've been selling on TPT since 2015, and like thousands of teachers have bought and used my resources. I have over 20,000 reviews on TPT. I have hundreds of teachers in my French teacher membership, and I am also still in the classroom. So I am there with you. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm working with students, and the students of today, like they are right in front of me. And we all know that the students of today are not quite the same as the students of pre-COVID. Although I will say this year, my class seems to be like in grade 1, they seem to be like the most normal, like the most typical, what you would expect. For kids in grade 1, like since the pandemic. So maybe there's hope. But then again, last year, my class was like the most challenging class I've ever taught. So I don't know, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But whatever the case, I am in the classroom with you. Like I have real students that I'm really teaching right in front of you. And I like I share things that I know are working with my students. And I also know that every group of students is different. Like just look at my class last year versus this year, nobody could understand better. So while I give these suggestions and stuff, I just want you to kind of take them and take what works for you and just leave the rest behind, and I will not be judging you. So this webinar, if you're still here after the half hour of me not, apparently you're not hearing me talk. So I just want to make sure that you're not wasting your time, and this is a good webinar like fit for you, because not everybody's in the same point in their teaching journey, and I don't want you to be wasting your time here. So this webinar is a good next step for you in your teaching. If you are like a passionate teacher, like you teach in French, you love teaching in French, you enjoy teaching primary grades, you want to nurture young minds and help your students improve, and you still believe in the job like most days. Some days we all don't believe in the job and we're all not really sure if we're in the right place. Like there have been days that I have questioned as well. But you know, most days you still believe in the job. This is a good fit for you. And if you're committed to growth and you might be a brand new teacher, but you might have been a teacher for a long time, but you still want to like learn new things and try new things and like keep, developing professionally and trying new things and like making a positive impact on your students and helping them be successful. So sometimes we get in a rut and we just teach the same things over and over because it's easier. And like, I get that. So if you are tired and you don't want to add anything new to your plate and you don't want to change anything about your teaching, like, again, I'm not judging you, but this webinar will be a better fit for you if you want to like improve your craft and work on your teaching specifically related to phonics, because there's a lot of parts in the day. For me, my goal this year is to really improve my phonics teaching. That might not be your goal, and that is perfectly fine. But if it is your goal, if you want to improve on phonics and help your kids learn to read better, and you have like the bandwidth and the ability to focus on that for the rest of the year, this is a great webinar for you. And also, if you understand, like we do the best we can with what we've been given, like I don't want you to leave this webinar feeling guilty about how you taught your students for the past however long. For the past decade, I know like I did not do as good of a job with my students as what I know now I could have been doing, because I was taught to teach them to read like incorrectly, basically. Like it or not, it was not the best way to teach my kids to read. And sometimes I do feel guilty and I feel like I let them down. But at the same time, one thing I know about myself is I always do the best I can with what I've been given and with what I know. And when I know better, I do better, and now I know better and I'm doing better. So if you want to learn from what I've learned, this is a good webinar for you. So also make sure to remember like progress is better than perfection. You don't have to change everything today. You don't have to change everything tomorrow. You don't even have to change everything this year, but like little pieces of progress add up to make really big changes. So education is changing. It's always changing. The pendulum is always swinging. We're always being told we need to do things differently. But like it or not, what we've been taught about reading for decades is not working. So with that being said, and with being told we need to change how we teach, we're often led to dry. So we're told we need to change how we teach. Our outcomes might change. Some of my outcomes have changed this year, but we're given little guidance or resources to show us how to do it. That happens all the time in education. That has always been the way of education. It's very frustrating. I get it. I understand. So that's kind of why I'm here. And I know that this is different. Like what we've been told differs from province to province. So I didn't want to like outright be like, now we have to do this and I have to do that. Depends where you are. Like I know in Ontario, I kind of followed the Human Rights Commission and the reading recovery. And like now you guys are not allowed to use reading recovery and your curriculum has totally been changed. Like that's in Ontario. In Nova Scotia, my friend was here visiting me yesterday. She teaches with the city board in Halifax. She told me that in K-2, they have UFly now. They are phasing out reading recovery and won't have it after this year. And they're switching their focus to phonics. But then in grades 3 to 6, they're still doing running records and using leveled readers. In my board, in the French board, I do now have an outcome that is specific to decoding and like says students need to decode. I still have an outcome, and these were updated over the summer. I still have an outcome that says students need to use the 3 queuing system. I still have an outcome that says students need to read the end of grade 1 levels 10 to 12, like GB plus reading levels. Like I was blocked when I tried to purchase decodable readers with school board, like with school allotted money. My school board blocked my purchase and told me I was not allowed to purchase decodable readers because they don't have a story and our students are learning a second language and they can only read books that feature like stories, which I know they didn't vet those books because it was like the Fessel books and they have stories in them. So like, it's frustrating when we're left up to dry. It's frustrating when we have no support. I'm a very like stubborn and passionate person. So when I'm told like, no, we're not buying you this, I was like, okay, I'll make my own. And here we are today. And you will see I've made a lot of books over the past couple of years. So I'm here with you. Like, again, my outcomes changed. The level of support I get has not really improved, but I want to improve. So I'm here. Every year I get better. And when I'm ready to share, I like to share. So this year I feel ready to share. I don't like to share what I do until I'm sure that like I've seen evidence that it's helping and it's working. So now I've seen like from last year and the beginning of this year, I've got evidence that it's working and my students are improving. So today I'll show you how to build a routine, plan a week at a time so you don't lose your mind, and teach your students how to read in a more like systematic and thought out way. And then I'll also help you get your hands on resources that you need to make it all happen. So first we'll talk about why phonics are so important. Then I'll talk about kind of how you can like the actual nitty gritty, like how you can, little steps you can take and things you can do, resources you can use to actually change your teaching, and then how to build a routine for your students, but also a routine for you. And this part is very flexible and fluid. So I dedicate an hour a day, like 30 minutes before recess, 30 minutes after, to this piece of my routine. If you don't have that much time, that's okay. Like just take what works for you and slot it in and like make it work. I've switched up my schedule. I no longer do like an hour of literacy centers in the middle of the day because I was finding that, you know, students work with me for 20 minutes, but not even every student gets to see me every day. So like a lot of students, I felt like they were wasting their time without direct teacher instruction. And there's a lot of things that all of my students need to learn. So now instead I do this hour of like direct instruction, and I do pull small groups down. And at the end of the day, when my students aren't learning that much anyway, let's be honest, because it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. So they're just not really listening to me stand in front and talk. At the end of the webinar, I will talk to you about my teach-along that's coming up called Enseignant les autres sans ensemble. If you want more support and if you want more resources and you want like me to kind of stick beside you as you go through this. And I'll also give a really big freebie at the end. I stopped counting the pages and it was like almost 200. I was like, okay, it's just really big. I'll give you like a copy of all the resources that I have that I've used over time and that I used this year for the sound on, like O-N. So you can check them out. You can look at them all. You can be like, this would definitely, my kids would love this. Or like, oh, I don't think they would be that into this. And you can build your own routine like for your first full week back where you can teach that sound and you'll have everything you need. Okay, I'm going to check the Q&As. This is where I checked the Q&As last time. I definitely did it faster this time. So I'm going to check and see if there's questions. Oh, so Calgary. Yeah, so I actually went to a PD session this year and the guy that was speaking, the professor, was from Calgary and he was amazing. And he was like, it's all my research that everyone's using to teach kids how to read now. And it's very cool. Okay, so, all right. So if you didn't hear Leah, it's okay. It was just a Christmas card. All right. I'm going to keep going. It looks like we're good. It looks like we're good. So, present. Okay, so first of all, why are phonics important? Why do they matter? Like, why is there this push for phonics now? And we know, like, we need to change how we teach kids to read, but like, where do you start? So like, where do we begin? We were told we need to change it. Like, where do we go? And why aren't leveled readers working? So we were told we needed to use leveled readers. We were provided, like, I don't know, I was provided, we have a whole room in our school that's just like full of leveled readers. So why did we get all of this when like they don't actually work? So basically, leveled readers, in my experience, in my opinion, so these are like GB Plus, or like the ones that have like a level in the back, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or like A, B, C, D, and you're told like, oh, at the end of the year, your student should be reading a level 3. The end of grade 1, they should read a level 10, or like they should read a level G, like whatever it is. Those books, in my experience and opinion, are only like helpful for kids who already know how to read. So a student who understands how reading works, like they know what to do to read a new word and they know their sounds, they can read these books for fun. They can read these books and learn new vocabulary. Like Leah brought home a book the other day about like how you recycle old cars or whatever. There were tons of words in there with sounds you didn't know. We mapped them all out, like yada, yada, yada. But I learned new vocabulary words about like a steel plant and like this and that. And we can build their stamina with these books. So these would be like when I was younger, after I learned how to read, then I would read like Little House on the Prairie or Amelia Bedelia or Pippi Longstocking. Like we can treat these books in the same way as that. Like once our kids know the code, they know the sounds in the book, they can learn how to read them. So it's a great way to learn new vocabulary. I get frustrated when I'm told like that kids don't have enough vocabulary to read, because if we picked the right books for them, there would only be a few words here and there that they don't know, and they would have to sound out and like use context to figure out what they mean. So like reading is a great way to build your vocabulary, as long as you're not spending all of your brain and energy trying to figure out every single word. So in maternelle and première année, we are likely to have very few students, if any, who are at that point. So last year in première année, I had a student come in. He was very, very bright. He could read whatever he wanted in English. Like it was great. So I picked books for him that were level readers, specifically to build his vocabulary and specifically on topics that I knew he was interested in, and then he would learn about. Like I gave him this book about like the Christmas tree that Noah's. He's from Toronto, then he moved here, and now he's actually in California, but he loves learning. So like I picked a book, for example, about like the Christmas tree that Nova Scotia sends to Boston and the Boston explosion. And he was like so into it. Like these books are great for kids who already know how to read. But again, like it doesn't have, like most of our students are not at that point in their reading journey. And I have some beefs and personal experience with leveled readers and why they frustrate me, as well as reading recovery. And I always felt this way, but I just felt like I must be missing something because like we're told to use these. So in my experience, if you use leveled readers to teach kids to read, lots of kids will learn to read that way, and whatever, like something, maybe not lots, but like around half your class will probably make progress and go. But when a kid doesn't learn with leveled readers, like what do you do with them? Like if they don't have a good memory and they can't memorize the sight words that are in the book, and they can't memorize like the pattern that's on every single page, like what do you do with them? Like there's nothing like less than that. If they have a bad memory, like you can't take these books that have been often translated from English. So like I have a level 1 book with like hippocamp as a word for them to read, and like fourgonette, like they can't read those words. Like those are not words that a struggling student is going to be able to look at and read, especially in their second language. So if they don't have a good memory, our students can't learn to read. These books are full of sounds that they don't know. My colleague and I, to prove a point last year, took our easiest level 3 book, which was Le Bateau de Lily, a GB Plus one, which I don't know, you might know it or you might not know it. But it is like easier than most of the other level 3-4s because it has more words that they can decode, like Lily you can decode, and like papa and va. But we counted all of the sounds, like all of the digrams and trigrams, like or more, like sounds made up of 2, 3, 4, 5 letters that were in the book, and there were 7. There were still 7 sounds in that book that our maternelle students weren't taught yet, but yet we're expected to know how to read this book by the end of maternelle. There's like A like in feuille, there was ou like in rouge, there's O like bateau, there's like the word say and A and like mon, like all these sounds that the kids hadn't learned yet they were expected to read. So if they are going through this book and they come across a word that they can't guess, they don't know what to do. They can't read it. They can't figure it out. So our kids actually think like they don't understand what reading is because they're expected to read these books that like they just basically have to memorize. My other beef with ePlay, with reading recovery, and I am still at a reading recovery school. My kids still go to reading recovery. I still appreciate the fact that, you know, my 2 students in reading recovery get 30 minutes a day, one-on-one, speaking French with the teacher. I think it's good for their language development. But my beef with ePlay is I would have kids in grade 1 to go through the whole thing, come back to me at a level 16, which is like the target for grade 1. And then she would be like, oh, well, they're going to drop back some levels in the classroom because they're not working one-on-one with you. And then I would give them a book that they hadn't seen before and they couldn't read it. Because in my experience, the kids that go through reading recovery, they can read the books that they see with their teacher really, really, really well, but like they don't make a transfer to other things. So to me, if you learn to read and you can read a level 16, you should be able to pick up any level 16 or less or under book and be able to read it. Like you don't just forget, like if you learn how to read, you don't forget how to read just because somebody gives you a different book or a different piece of paper. Like kids who can read should be able to read a Christmas card that comes in the mail. They should be reading road signs as they drive down the road. They should be able to pick up a book in the library. And even if it's like too hard for them to read, they should know like what to do to like attack some of the words in the book. They should be able to pick out words that they know. If you can read, you can read. Like there shouldn't be this expectation like, oh, well, when they come back in the classroom, they're going to drop back because they're not one-on-one. Like, and this expectation that like, we don't ask them to read this book until they've already gone through it with us. Like when I read a book, I don't pick up the book, skim through it once, like this whole chapter book once, and then read it again, like for real. You know what I mean? Like to me, if a kid can read, they can pick it up and they don't need me to be there walking through the pictures with them and like telling them all the tricky words before they start. Like it's not independent. Like if you can read, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I've never understood why we expect them to like drop back and like unlearn reading just because they're not one-on-one anymore. And then my third issue is that there's no standardization between levels. So if a parent comes to me and they're like, okay, so my kid's at a level 5, what does that mean? There's nothing I can tell them. I can't say they know this many sounds or they know this many high frequency words or their stamina is that they can read this many words in one session or this many words per minute. Like I know nothing. Like a level 5 tells me nothing except that they probably have one-to-one correspondence and they probably know enough, like have memorized enough sight words that they can get through the book kind of thing. Because it's just like there's no standardization to the levels. So those are my 3 beefs with leveled readers and ePlay. Like if you have bad memory, you can't learn to read with them. If you learn to read, you should not be dropping back levels and like unlearning reading. Like if you know how to read, you know how to read anything. And there's no standardization to the levels. So if level readers don't work, what should we do instead? And what we should be doing is teaching the code. So we want to save the leveled readers for like older students or students who already know how to read, especially like try to avoid using level 1, 2 books as much as possible. Like I get sometimes there's expectations on us and we have to do what we're told. I understand that. But the 1, 2 books, like if it was up to me, we would not have any in our whole school because they absolutely teach students to memorize and guess. Even the reading recovery teacher is like, I try to get them out of there like as quickly as possible because it just teaches them to memorize and guess. Like if a student can pick up those books and read it with their eyes closed, they are memorizing and guessing, like they are not reading. And then we want to teach our students the code explicitly, like one sound at a time, like a deep dive kind of into it. But then at the same time, you want to be like spirally reviewing all of the sounds every day because some of your students are ready for those sounds and it's going to up the exposure that they get to those sounds and they're going to be better able to like transfer it to what they're reading and what they're writing if we kind of review them every single day. So I'll talk more about that in a future slide. And then we also want to give them a ton of opportunity to practice the rules and skills we taught in context and in isolation. So if you teach the sound in a week and you give them a leveled reader, there might be like 1 or 2 instances of that sound in there, but there's also going to be like a ton of other sounds that they haven't even learned yet. So it's not the same quality of practice as if you have a specific activity specifically for that sound that they can work through every single day. And you have them read the sounds that they know, and then you just kind of layer a new sound on top every single week. So here's how I do it in grade 1. This is my like annual schedule kind of thing. And then at the bottom, I'll talk a little bit about maternelle because I was there first. So for me, September and October, I do a letter a day alphabet review. So I reteach the alphabet, which they learned in maternelle, focusing on letter sounds. And I read a story from Raconte-moi l'histoire every day. So my school in maternelle and première année, we have the resource. Well, in maternelle, I think it's Raconte-moi l'alphabet. In première année, we use Raconte-moi l'histoire. There's a little story for each sound. This is new. We just got it last year. So it's new to us. There's a story for each sound. You read the story or you show the video of the story. The videos are all on YouTube. And then you like display the posters. They're all up in your classroom and you can like refer back to them. So like, for example, M is like someone who's hungry, and it's like, like I can't actually, I don't remember. He's like, so like there's a gesture for it, the sound for it. So when the students wants to write the word ma, I'm like, because those are the gestures and the sounds that go with the story, and then they can do it. And then November and December, I spent 8 weeks like deep diving into reading new words that feature a target vowel that's just represented by one letter. So like A, both E sounds, like I spend a week on each sound. I, a week on both O sounds, U, and then X on big U. So that's the 8 weeks before Christmas break that we dive deep into that. And the routine that I do for that is very similar to the routine I'm going to talk to you about soon in this presentation. And then from January to June, we focus on one like complex sound, so like a digram or a trigram, like sounds that are represented by 2 or more letters until the end of the year. And then along with like that schedule, as I said, every single day we review all of the French phonemes. Like I have an outcome that they know all 36 French phonemes. We review them all every day. There's a video on YouTube called Raconte-moi les sons de gestuelle, and it goes through, it takes 5 minutes, but it goes through every single sound and every single gesture. We do it every single morning. All the sound posters are on display in my room all year, accessible for when they come up and when my students need them. Because there's no way that your student has gotten to like January without needing the sound en for a word in one of their stories. Like if they want to write mon, you have to have it up there somewhere to be like, oh, here it is. Like they don't necessarily know the story yet, but they know where they do. My students do know the story now because we had read it when it came up for like a mot du jour kind of thing. But like it's there, I can show it to them. Off we go, because some students are already ready for them and they're ready to roll. In maternelle, I still do a letter a day. In the beginning of the year, I start with a letter a day instruction, and then I circle back for another round after. I get data from my students to see, okay, everybody knows this letter. Nobody knows this letter. Most people don't know this letter. Just these kids don't know this letter, so that I can reteach things whole group if I need to. I can pull small groups. I can do one-on-one. I use data to help me not waste my time. I do think it's a waste of time to do a letter a week and not get to like Z until March, because I think our students are more capable than that. And I think if you have a student who needs a whole week to learn a letter sound, by March, they're going to definitely forget the ones you did in September. So I talk more about that every August and September. You can come back and we'll talk about that then. I'm not going to talk a lot about that today, but I do still believe in a letter a day for maternelle, because otherwise you're wasting a lot of your students' time. Exception to that might be if you're not full day French immersion kind of thing and you only have them for like half days or whatever, or you really want to use the alphabet to boost their vocabulary versus learning to read kind of thing. Like it depends on where you are, and I trust you to make the right decision for your students. But if your goal is to teach them to read like phonics wise, a letter a day is great. So the benefits are a solid routine for you makes it really easy to plan and prep. Like I will go through my prep routine with you in the third part of the presentation, but the routine like saves my life every day. And my students actually learn to read. So an example of this, now I can't remember if I told you about the student in this part of the presentation, or if I said it during the one when it wasn't actually showing me. But anyway, just in case, I had a student go through a worksheet and read all the words on the page. And she was like, Madam, I actually can read now. I'm doing so well. Because she knew at the beginning of the year she couldn't read, even though on paper she was at a level 4 at GB+, which like is really good. She knew she couldn't read. But now she knows she can read because she knows what to do. And then all throughout our day, sounds and how sounds work, and like how words work and how we put sounds together. Like it is a huge focus in our day. So I do work on phonological awareness specifically at another point in our day, like very, very first thing in our day. And so we would do that, but like also just talking about sounds all day and like working on sounds all day, and with sounds all day, like their phonological awareness skills have like improved so much. Like it blows me out of the water what they can do now, just because we just talk about sounds and how they make up words so frequently. So this is my like, we got to do it slide. So if you don't focus on phonics in a systematic, explicit way, research shows, and this was like the first thing that comes up on Google, like it comes up on Google in its own, like this is a true block. Your students will not all learn how to read. Only about 40% of students will. So 40% of kids will learn to read kind of no matter what you do. So that's a really nice ego boost for the beginnings of our career when we're like, oh my gosh, I'm screwing everybody up. 40% of them are still going to learn to read. So that's really good. But now if you're at the point in your career where you can kind of zoom in a little bit and like improve your teaching a little bit more, we really want to catch that other 60%. Because something like 90 something, I forget. I meant to write down the exact percentage and I can't remember, but it's over 90% of kids who actually can learn to read if we teach them well. So we really want to get that extra like 45% of kids on top of that 40% and get them reading. Obviously, there's other important pieces to learning to read, like vocabulary comprehension, phonological awareness. Like if you want to learn more about that, Scarborough's rope, you can look it up, and it talks about all the pieces that intertwine to learn to read. This webinar is just about phonics because I'm already going to talk for too long, but also because it's less daunting and less intimidating to just pick one thing to perfect at a time. Okay, I'm going to check the Q&A again. Whew. Oh, that's awesome, Lisa. That's amazing. Okay. All right, I don't see. Okay. I don't see any like big, yeah, je plus one, like je grimpe, je monte. Like, how are they supposed to read that? We don't have alpha gen. I haven't seen those ones. So we're good. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. Continuing on. So part 2 is kind of, this is like the how-to piece of like how I teach. So this is my routine kind of thing, and you can take what you want from it. Like I'm like Walmart, you go in, you get what you need. Sometimes you might like walk around a bit and get things you didn't know you needed, but then you see them and you want them. But you don't take everything in Walmart. So think of me that way. Take what you want, take what you need, and like just leave the rest behind. Like you do not have to do the same as me. This is just what I do. It's a jumping off point for you because all students are different. All teachers are different. All of us can handle different things. All of us enjoy different things. So your teaching journey is unique to you. This is just mine. So a lot of times as teachers, we get really stuck at like planning day to day. And when I started teaching, I was very much this, like, I felt like I could never get ahead. And I also felt pressure to like be a really fun teacher and make like really engaging and really unique and really exciting lessons. And I thought, because I get bored easily, I thought that my students would get bored easily if we did the same thing over and over. But you should not make your decisions for your students based on your decisions for yourself, because students love doing the same things over and over because they feel like they're really good at it. Like they get good at it and they can see their growth. And they get really excited about it. And they actually love knowing what to expect. They feel really safe. They feel comfortable. They feel like you're not going to ask them to do something that they can't do. It's just like, it's a really safe place for them to be when we repeat similar activities over and over and they know what to do. They love it. They thrive on it. And like, it's admirable to want to make the best, most engaging, most exciting lessons of all time. When I was in my BED, I had a lot of grandiose dreams about how I could change the world, but it's just not really realistic because you have another whole life and you are an important person and your life is important and your teaching shouldn't take over that. And if you try to do different things every single day and be so exciting and be so engaging and like just transform your classroom into all these different things, like it's going to put you on the fast track to burnout. And I've been there. That was another webinar, but it's not where we want to be. So your students they will thrive on routine and consistency. They will feel confident and they will feel successful when they know what to do. So to get them there, what we want to do is make a weekly phonics routine that is clear and is consistent, that will teach your students a new sound each week, and that will give them opportunities to practice reading and writing words that contain that sound. And when you do that, it's going to let you plan and prep way more efficiently, way more easily, and save your sanity, because everything you can like batch do it, and it's just so much easier. So you want to build a routine where like the activities are consistent, if not day to day, at least week to week, and you just kind of swap out the content, which would be, in this case, the sound. And I use this in a lot of things, like my centers, same thing. If you did my centers course last year, you know, like the activities stay consistent, we swap out the content. My oral communication routine, same thing, like the activities stay consistent, we just swap out what we're working on. So as much as you can do that, the more it will save your sanity. So this is a peek at my weekly routine, just mine. You don't have to do the same thing, but this is mine. On Mondays, I introduce the new sound. So I have about 20 to 30 minutes before recess. Usually on Mondays, we only need 20. So like I'll pick an oral communication, which is the block right before this. Like I'll do an activity that takes a bit longer on Mondays. So I introduce the sound. We listen to the Raconte-moi les sons story for it. The videos are on YouTube. We do a morning message for the sound. And then we do an interactive notebook page for our sound. When I do the alphabet, I do an interactive notebook page every single day. When I do the sounds, it's just once for the sound. Then that same block of time, so like 20 to 30 minutes before recess, Tuesday to Friday, I do phrase fantastique. So phrase fantastique are my pocket chart sentences, which I had them for a long time. Well, I still have them for like seasonal vocabulary words. where you can work on like spaces and directionality and handwriting and seasonal vocabulary, etc. The Metro Teacher at my school still uses that version. I use the version that is decodable. So I have a version for like almost all the sounds that we do. And if I don't have a phonetic for the sound that we do, I do something else in this block. Like I'll do a repeated read aloud. So that's just a side note. If you don't have one for the sound you're doing, you can just slot something else in this block. So it's pocket chart sentences with like high frequency words, as many contain the target sound as possible, and then a bunch of vocabulary words that contain the target sound. So there's different versions of the cards in the pack. I use the cards with words that do not have pictures. So I have like our model sentence at the top. I have the words on individual cards that build the sentences. Then I have like the vocabulary words with just the words. So like silent letters are in gray and our target sound is in red and all the other letters are in black. And then underneath that, I have a picture of each word so that they can show me that they understand what the word meant. So we read the words, the vocabulary words, like we decode them together, and then we learn what they mean, and they learn them quickly. Like before break, we had Santiago, and like blé was a word, like wheat. Nobody knew what that meant. I had the picture. We talked about how you grind it up to make bread. By the end of the week, everybody knew what that meant. So like, again, reading can really help you learn new vocabulary. It's good. Then I'll build a sentence, and I'll pick somebody like without the picture. So I put like the sentence stem. I'll add a word, like just the text. I'm like, nobody can read this. It's way too hard. And then I pick somebody, they come up, they read it, they decode it in front of everybody. Then they find the picture that matches to show me that they understood what they read. And then I switch the sentence up, someone else comes, etc. And then the last round, like whenever they start to get a little rangy, I pick one student and they build the sentence while everyone else goes to get like a pencil and a clipboard. And then we write the sentence together. So that takes about 20 minutes. Twice a week, I also do, there's 2 mini books included. I do the mini books that are in that pack that do not have pictures, and I do not read them for my students. I hand them out. Well, actually, my students hand out the books. They go to their desk. There's a piece of like a sentence on each page, no picture. They go to their spot and they read the sentences and they draw a picture on their own. And even my like lowest considered readers are able to decode the new words on this page. In September, could they? No. But now we have practiced a lot and they all know what to do. And I hear them all being like I can't think of a word off the top of my head, but like say it was like vash, like they'll be like vash, and I hear them say it and I see them draw it. They're almost getting too easy for them, so I'm kind of wondering if I swap that out for another activity after the break. We'll see. We haven't done digrams or trigrams yet, so I'm going to try it with like after the break. If it's still like way too easy even with that, I might swap it out for something else, because they were tricky at first, but now they're like almost so easy, like it's not enough. Like I think I could get them reading even more words if I slot something else in there. So we'll see. And then once or twice a week, we also write a texte structure répété using the model sentences for this, because texte structure répété is a text d'étude for my board. It's not my favorite one, but this is an easy way to do it. So before the break, we would do that with like the 6 ones that we had before the break kind of thing. Probably will drop that now, but we'll see. So they would just choose a sentence stem. They would choose which word they want to use to complete the sentence, and off we go. And at this point in the year, I also have this as a literacy center. So like everything just stays there, but I have another bin with extra paper in it, and they do it as a center and they build their own sentences. And sometimes in the like 15 minutes or 20 minutes of their center, they'll write like 4, 5, 6 sentences, so they can get even more out of it doing it on their own versus when we do it, slow as a class. Okay, so that's before recess every single day. Then we have snack, then we go outside. And then after recess, I do the other part. So part 2. And this kind of varies a little bit more day to day. On Mondays, we do a decodable blending book. So it is projectable. So I project a version of it on my screen. We do the warm-up slides, we read the story together, and then I give students like a copy of their own book for themselves that they're going to take home. So my class this year likes to color. So I do give them like 10 minutes to color it. If I have a class that does not like to color, we don't color it. We just highlight the target sound and off we go. Like sometimes like I'm kind of like, I don't care that much about coloring, I guess. Like I'm not in Premiere and A especially. I'm just like, we don't need to color this. Like you're fine. But my class this year does enjoy coloring. So whatever, I give them 10 minutes. I mean, they color, they take a lot of pride in it. It's all good. And then during that time that they're coloring, I can circulate in the class and I can check in and get everybody to read me at least a page or like read any tricky parts that are in the story. So I have an example in here. Let's see if you can see it. I don't know. Hopefully, yes. I'm going to check my open my Instagram in case Natalia tells me we can't see it. So it looks like this. There's like warm-up slides, and then there's a story of it. This is like the original one for the sound last year I made an easy reader version for the sound the original ones I had made the year of COVID, so it was closer to the end of the year, and my students had already been exposed to a lot of sounds, so I wasn't careful of like which sounds I included. So like this is the book, but it also has ooh, and it also has and wah. The easy reader version, like the second version of it, you'll see it in your freebie at the end. I was way more careful. So like the one only has The next one is for ooh, it only has and ooh. The next one is for oh, it only has ooh, oh. So I was more careful to like build it more gradually. But anyway, this is what it looks like. I project it on the screen, then they color their own. And then thank you, Natalia. And then they take it home at the end of the day in their reading bag. And then we do like a worksheet style decoding practice sheet. So I have a bank of activities. I'll show you them after I go through the routine. I pick one, usually the word search on the first day because they love the word searches. And then they usually take like 10. I said 10 to 12, but that's even generous. It's probably like 8 to 10 at this point. They took them longer at first, but they're very quick now. And the amount of words that they read in those like 8 to 10 minutes is high. Like it's great. And then there's also blending cards that are included with the book, so you might see them. And I've done videos where I say like, oh yeah, we do these blending cards. This year I don't do the blending cards because my modal SMN that I send home for like high frequency word work are sound based, so I don't double send. I just send those instead. Okay, that's Monday. Tuesday, we reread the book and we review it again. So those books are like, you know, trickier than the other books I'll give in the week. So we read them a second time. We do the slides together. We read it together. I have students volunteer or student tables to volunteer to read each page. And then we read like on their own, and then we read it together. And then we do another sheet from the bank of practice sheets. Wednesday, I do a different book. I do the Je peux lire book. I use my document camera. For it. And it's just a one-page book. And you fold it up to make like a little tiny book. And this is just one for example. This is one we did right before the break. So if you fold it up, I use my document camera. I show them the first page. I'm like, okay, you have 10 seconds to find all of the target sound. They highlight it, and then we read it. So it's like a, they, lay, etc. We go through. Repeat for the words. We go through. Repeat for the sentences. And then I often have students who want to read the sentence on their own. So like I try to pick one student from each table to read the sentence, and then we all read the sentence together. After that, guess what we do? Another worksheet style activity. Sometimes we can do 2 on this day because this book is much quicker. So sometimes there's some that you can copy front to back. So sometimes we do 2. And like, I know it sounds crazy to do like this many worksheets, but like they love them. They feel so successful and so happy when they complete them. So we do them. Okay, so Thursdays I don't actually work. I did say in my first round of my introduction, I'm 80%. I think I didn't say it in my second round of my introduction. I'm 80% this year. I don't work on Thursdays. So I just gave some ideas that you could do on Thursdays if you are, I assume most of you work on Thursdays. So I'm 80%. My teaching partner does 20% for me, and then she does 20% in the other grade 1 room on Fridays. So just some ideas like you could do. I have a second digital story. You could do that. You could do more worksheet activities. You could do lecture à soi or lecture en partenaire, where you practice the books that they've already gotten for that sound. You can get resources and books from other TPTers. The French Apple and the class of Madame Caroline, they both have more decodable readers for the target sounds. You can do a scavenger hunt and look for the sound all over the place. There's lots of things you can do on Thursdays. I just don't do those things because I'm at home on Thursdays. And then on Friday, I do the final book. So if you've been keeping count, we've had 2 books, like 2 decodable readers from Phrase Fantastique, one of the projectable ones that they have their own copy, the Je peux lire book, and now we have a Décoder Dessin book. So that's 5 books that my students get to take home and practice the sound. Do they all read them? Probably not at home, but they read them in school, and we practice during lecture as well, which is like during centers or when we do reading buddies or whatever. So they do practice them. And many of them do read at home, and I don't give leveled readers to my students in grade 1 until they show me that they understand how reading works. And I told parents that up front. I was like, I know you're used to getting leveled readers. They will still get books. They will be books on paper. These books will actually teach your kids how to read. The leveled readers will teach your kids vocabulary and work on their stamina. But like, I want them reading these paper books because this is going to consolidate the learning that we did all week long in the classroom. So this book I will show you as well. Oh, maybe. Oh, no. Nope. Oh no, I did the wrong one. Sorry. Okay. I thought that the pattern of blue pink would help me, but that time it didn't. Okay. So this is Lily Leon Lee. It's for the sound I, but I have one for like all the sounds that I do. So it's similar to the ones for Fast Fantastic where there's no picture. So there's 1 to 2 sentences per page. The silent letters are in gray and the other sounds are underlined. And then we decode them and then my students draw a picture. So I do this one on the document cam. I let students read ahead if they can, but I also offer the support of me reading it with them on the document cam if they want it. I think I only have 3 students who will work ahead, and the rest of them read it with me. And I love this book because it shows me if my students are reading to understand. And I'm really pushing my students this year to read to understand, not just like recite. So we read it through once, but I don't draw the pictures in front of them. And then my students they reread the story on their own each page and they illustrate it on their own. And it shows me that they understood the story when they come back and read it to me later, and I can see that the picture made sense. I do let my students work with a partner if they want to on this one. If I have students who are struggling with like a certain sound or whatever, they just come to my table while the rest of the class works independently. And I only have 1 to 2 students. Like at this point, we were just doing single vowel sounds before Christmas. So maybe this will up when we do like the deconyms and trinconyms. But right now I only have 1 or 2 students who like need the extra support. However, it's usually related to like focus and behavior. If I'm beside them, they can read the words on their own. Like it's not an issue of not knowing what to do. It's more just that they need a little extra focus help. And then we do another worksheet style one. So that's my Monday to Friday routine. As far as the worksheet style activity things that we do, I'll show you some examples now. So this one is called Les Pensées Écrites. It's a little bit of comprehension, but mostly handwriting, like calligraphy. So this one I don't use that super much in grade 1. I only usually use it if I don't have a phrase fantastic for that particular sound, but I do have one of these for that sound, then I'll pull it in. If I was in maternelle, I would use this one a lot more because they need a lot of work on letter formation, writing on the lines, but they're also decodable. So I don't read the sentence to them. I give them the sheet, they read the sentence, and then sometimes I'll go over if there's like a sight word that we haven't learned the sound pattern for it yet. I'll tell them the sight word to start, but they read it, they color in the answer, they trace the sentence, and they write it on their own twice. So again, that one's more for maternelle than Première Année. It's in my membership. So if you're not in a membership, I'm sorry, you don't have it. I did not put it on. Oh, maybe I did put it on TBT. It might be on TBT. I can't remember. I can't keep up. I have too many things. This one's not on TBT. This one's my favorite new one. If you're a membership member, you got this one before Christmas at some point. It's Les Trouve et Coloris. So there's like 4 lists and each list has a color. And I taught them how to read the color names, and then they like read the word, they find it in the puzzle below, and then color it the color of the code. So I know they're reading if they're colored correctly. So I love that one. That's in my membership. It's not on TBT yet, maybe someday, but I'm working on it for sound. So if you're in the membership, you'll get one that's done. For like volume 1 will come to you on January 2nd when we get the January stuff, and then volume 2 will come on February 1st. I've got decodable labeling sheets, which I usually use for centers, but every now and then, like this is my writing center activity. So there's no picture in the word bank. They read them and then they write them where they belong in the picture. I don't know if these are on TBT. They might just be in the membership. I'm sorry. I'm really behind. I'm really behind on TBT uploading. If you want my best stuff, it's definitely in my membership. So usually I use this as a writing center for I use it as a literary center for my writing center is what I was trying to say. But sometimes I get like too excited and I copy like too many examples and we don't get to them all because we like things interrupt our centers or whatever. So then I might pull one and we'll do it during that time. Mot caché, these are my students' favorites. They're so tricky like the first time they do them, and then they just like fly through them now and they love them. So they read the word, they find the word, and they write it sound by sound in the correct box. Got fluency sentences. I've got like fun little ones like these ones where you use a magnifying glass to like find the words hidden in the picture. This is the one that my student was doing before break when she was like, Madam, I can actually read now. I read all these words. And then this one I haven't used yet in grade 1 because it's still a little bit like there's still a few too many sounds like in the word dawn and the word like a, like we haven't done those sounds yet. But after I do the week where I spend on, like I go on and then ooh, and then oh, and then then I will pull these ones in just to make sure that they can read, that everybody can read them. So they cut it out and then glue it wherever it says. So my students can do all of these except for that last one at this point in the year. So like they know how to do the activity, their brain power does not have to go to, how do I do this again? All of their brain power can go to reading and decoding. And they love that. Like they feel so successful. They feel so proud of themselves. Every single day I get to be like, look at all the things you read. Like you're such a good reader. And it's just really exciting. And they can transfer like what we do with the pocket chart sentence, what we do with the books, what they do on their worksheets. And like now we start going to the library and kids are picking up books and they're like, look, I know what this word is, like ma. And like it's all coming together very nicely. But they do not have to be perfect on day one. They will not be perfect on day one. You might take some of these routines and be like, oh yeah, I can do all of this in half an hour. Madame Andrea does. And your students are like, nope, we're going to take half an hour to do one thing. That is normal. That is okay. It is with practice that they get better, just like we get better at anything. Practice is what makes the progress, and like the consistency and the regularity of doing these similar activities over and over, just with different sounds. Like that is what will get your students efficient at them and quicker at them and excited about them. So don't expect them to be perfect on day one. They're not going to be. And like our routine, the first, like when we did the letter A, like the vowel A is what we did. We accomplished far fewer things that week than when we did Exantigu 8 weeks later. Like it's just the way that it is. And you don't have to be perfect either. So you don't have to do all the ththings that I just showed you. Just if you don't know everything about phonics yet, that is okay. Like don't wait to be perfect or to feel like you're ready to start teaching. Like don't let yourself hold yourself back from changing how you teach, because you don't have to be perfect to start making a difference. Like I can even tell you, like I only realized like 3 years ago that like, oh, maybe I should teach both sounds that the letters E and O make like separately, because like in my head it was one letter. So like my students were probably extremely confused as I was like, oh, like in le or like escargot. Like it didn't make any like, but I didn't wait to teach until I knew every single thing or whatever. I still don't know every single thing, but like it was just this year that I was like, okay, so if it's followed by a double consonant, it's gonna make the sound instead, like where I could see the rules and the patterns myself, teach my students the rules and the patterns as well. So like don't wait to be perfect or to feel like you're ready or whatever. Like try to find something you can change or improve. Like how can you just get started after the break? Like you do not have to do it all. We fall in that trap all the time where like it's all or nothing. Like I have to totally change. Like you don't have to totally change. Like just pick one thing to work on if you feel overwhelmed. Like what can you add to your routine, or like what can you drop? Like can you once a week, instead of doing centers where you give your and reading level readers with your small groups, like can you take that hour and do like 2 phonics lessons instead? Or like can you add one of these worksheet activities into your routine and just like see how your students do with reading them? Like what can you change? Like that's just a bite-sized piece. Like you don't have to go all crazy. You don't have to stress yourself out. Just like try to see what you can improve a little bit at a time. Okay, now I've talked for an hour, but I still have one whole part. Okay, so this is, I'm just going to check questions really quick again, make sure I'm still working. And don't forget, when I send the replay, you will, like if you have to leave now, you'll get the whole replay of the whole thing. And also you can speed me up or slow me down with the controls in the replay, hopefully, because I talk a lot. And I went really fast because I knew I already wasted half an hour of your time and I didn't want to waste any more of your time. But yeah, you have the slides. I emailed them out to you, so you have them. And I also put the link in here. And then, yeah, so Michelle, James, your question. So I do mot du jour. In the beginning of my day, I have an oral communication block. I also slide the phonological awareness in there. So I start with that. And then I do mot du jour inside of there. And I also do mot de la semaine inside of there, just because we're already like at a spot where it just flows naturally. So it's not really part of oral communication, but I put it in there. So it goes like phonological awareness, mot du jour, mot de la semaine, and then we do like our how are you circle and our chant, and then we come to phonics. Okay. So this is how I get it all ready without losing my mind, because it's a lot. Like I said, I do 5 books or whatever a week, and then like all these worksheets, which is obviously takes prep time. But routine also helps you get things done too, which is probably my biggest secret, is that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. What's good for your students is also good for you, because you can get it all done, or like you can get done. We tell ourselves a lot of stories about how we don't have enough time, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes those stories are true, but sometimes they're not true. And like, I believe in you, and I think you can do more than than you maybe believe in yourself that you can do, because we all have like inner mean girls telling us we're not capable, but we are. I don't stay at school late. I leave when I'm allowed to leave. Leah has like dance almost every day after school, so we leave. I don't arrive early. Her bus arrives at my house at 8:02, and I have to be at school for 8:20. So I put her on the bus at 8:02, and then I drive to school. I used to go early. It was my jam. I loved it. Looking back in hindsight, I wasted a lot of time going early because I was like not even using that time efficiently. I just felt like I had lots of time. Might as well go. I did things that like weren't important, or I just like was on my phone at school instead of on my phone at home. So I don't go to school early. I don't go to school late, and I do eat lunch with my coworkers. I've found ways to get things done, and I've like dropped a lot of things. And I did do another webinar all about like done is better than perfect and all of that a couple of years ago, but I don't have time to like dive into that piece today. I should find that replay and send it out because that was like a bigger explanation of all of this. But what I do to make it work is what it should say, not you need to, because maybe you don't need to, but to make it work, what I do is I plan weekly instead of daily. I use my prep only to prep, and I have a plan. So like when I say I plan weekly, I mean I plan the whole week at once, and I always plan a week ahead. Like on Monday, I'm never like, oh my gosh, what am I doing on Tuesday? I never come to school on a Wednesday morning being like, I hope the photocopier is free because I'm not ready. I was ready like the week before. When I say I use my prep to prep, like I shut my door, I turn off my phone, and I do not check my email on my prep. I tell my parents I check my email at 8 a.m. and at 3 p.m. and otherwise call the school because that is it. And they all respect it. Sometimes I have meetings scheduled over my prep. If I do, I tell them I will only attend if I can get my prep at another time. Obviously, I'm a permanent teacher, so like I have a little more wiggle room. And also in Nova Scotia, it is in our contracts that if a meeting is scheduled over our prep and we have to attend, we get that prep time back. So my admin has been really good about it, but like I'm in a position where I can advocate for myself at this point in my career. So I do say like, I would love to come to this meeting. It's during my prep. So like, what time can I get my prep? Or what time can someone cover me so I can still get my prep? Because I'm only there 4 days a week. Like I need every single prep. Like I can't be prepared for my job if I don't have all 4 preps. When I get a snow day or a holiday, it does throw me off a little bit. I won't lie. And then have a plan. So the plan is kind of what I'll talk about now. Because when we plan day to day, it can feel really overwhelming and like we're scrambling and like we're never ready. And then it kind of makes us like freeze and waste the time that we do have because it's so overwhelming to feel like you have so much to do that you don't even know where to begin. So it kind of makes us waste time making the decision. Whereas if you have a plan ahead of time, you don't have to make the decision. The decision's already made for you. Like I never have to think, what am I going to do in my prep? It's already decided because I have a prep routine. And then what I don't like about planning day to day is that when I did that, a lot of times I had to like rely on busy work just to have time to breathe, or like I give my students free play so I could like quickly prepare something, and like not knocking free play, especially if you're in maternelle. And if you can work during that time, then go for it. But like, I don't know. I am, as a human, don't like wasting time. So like, I don't like wasting time for my students either. And sometimes they need a break and sometimes they need to play. And like, that is different than me building time, like busy work into my day because I need to prep, if that makes sense. So what I do is I prep a week at a time. So I have a set routine for what I prep each day. And when you prep a week at a time, basically you open your planner to the following week and you fill out the whole week. So when you have a set routine, like your hour-a-day phonics block, it's a lot easier because you know what you're going to do every single day. So like in my planner, in that block, like on Mondays, Monday will be like high interactive video massage du jour or whatever. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, I just write phrase fantastic, phrase fantastic, phrase fantastic. And then for the next block is like decodable reader, decodable reader, decodable reader, decodable reader. Number 2, worksheet, 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 worksheet. Like it's a lot easier to plan the whole week. And I do like everything like that. Like the first thing we do in the day is phonological awareness. So that's what I write. Conscience phano, conscience phano, conscience phano, conscience phano. My slides are ready for the whole month. Like it's all good to go. Number 2, mot du jour, mot du jour, mot du jour, mot du jour. That is ready for the whole month. Off we go. And so it's a lot easier to fill it out once you have a set routine. So I always start with like specials. So like when do we have phys ed? When do we have music? When do we have library? Is there an assembly? Is the art teacher coming? Like, what are we doing? So I start with those because those are like non-negotiable. Somebody else chose those times. So I put those in for the whole week first. Then I add in things that never change, which is almost everything. So like I always start with oral communication. Then we go to phonics. Then we do phonics reading kind of slash writing, math. After lunch, I do more math, specials, and then like it's either Mud Atlantic, right, or centers, depending. My teaching partner does a lot of, and it was in my board, Mud Atlantic, right, is like social studies, science, art, health, or whatever, like all mixed together. We're supposed to do 5 hours a week. She does most of it, so I just do a little bit, and most of it is integrated with literacy. So yeah, and then I add in things that like maybe are different. Like maybe Friday we're doing art. Maybe Friday we're learning about brushing your teeth, like whatever it is. I add in those things that are different. And as I go, I just make a list down the side of what I need to prep for that block. And it just like my planner has like 6 columns. I only need 5 because it's a 5-day week. On the 6th one, I just write like exactly what I need to prep. I don't prep it. I just make a list as I go. So each week for phonics, it looks like this. Like the list down the side of my planner goes interactive notebook page for Phrase Fantastic ×4, the Phrase Fantastic mini book, blending book, like whatever it is, I just write it down the side, writing page. And then I'll write other things like, okay, well, I need writing paper. I need this for my centers. I need math sheets for lessons like 8.1 to 8.4, like whatever it is, I just write it down the side of my planner and it is set. And then I follow my routine. So that's what I do Mondays. If day 1, like I fill the planner, I make the list. That's also the day that I schedule my parent email. I don't send it during my prep because I tell my parents I only check my email at 8 and 3. So on my prep, I don't check my email. Like if there's an email in there, it does not get opened, but I'll schedule the email. So every week I send like, this is the sound we're working on. This is what's cool about the sound. If there's like a rule about it. These are the words of the week. These are any special dates, like whatever. I have a template. Off we go. And then I schedule it to go at 3:15. Then on day 2, I go through the list and I look for everything that is just straight print and go. So like the 4 Phrase Fantastic writing pages, all you have to do is print and go. The mot caché, all you do is print and go. Décode et trouve, you just print and go. So like I take everything that's on the list that is print and copy, and I print a copy of it, and it all comes out in a stack in the photocopy room. I pick up the stack. On the photocopier, there's a setting where like you can change it. Instead of like, if you put a stack in, it makes 20 copies of the same stack. It like separates them. So it does 20 copies of page 1, 20 copies of page 2, 20 copies of page 3, 20 copies of page 4. I print the whole, like I copy all of it in one go on my prep because like only one other person with the same prep time as me and she's not usually in there. So I don't even fill up the line. And then it all comes out and it's all like sorted by the page. I walk it back to my classroom, slide paper clips on them, and I have drawers behind my desk that go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the top Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is everything for like the current week that I'm going through. Like there's a drawer for every day. So I put these new things for the following week in like the bottom one, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kind of thing. So by the end of day 2, everything that is print and go is printed and copied. You can print and copy a lot of things when you're just batching it like that. Like when you only walk to the photocopier one time, it's a lot faster than if you're going back and forth. On day 3, that's when I do things that are a little more complicated. So like the books, when I do like 5 books per student per week, like that can kind of add up. So I print 1 copy of each book. I walk to the photocopier, and then so there's usually 2 books per page, except for the Je peux lire book, which I print out on day 2 because it's just print and go. So the day 3 one, I only guess I do 4 books usually. So there's 2 per page usually. So I put it in and I'm like, okay, I need 9 copies of this. And while they're coming out, there's like a paper cutter behind me and I am slicing them in half. I don't staple them in there, but I slice them in half, make a stack. Like I stack them like this so that I know where one book ends and one begins. When they're all out, I walk it back to my office and then I just like go nuts with the stapler and I just staple them all. I get thrown off if I run out of staples and I have to find my staples. But overall, it's pretty good. Sometimes I don't finish all the stapling, but I will say you can staple a lot in a short amount of time. So like I do have to say 20 minutes after the bell or whatever. So usually if I have to finish stapling then, I finish stapling then. I find at 3 o'clock when the bell goes and I have to say this 20 minutes, like I'm brain dead. So I don't get a lot, like I don't rely on that for prep usually. But I can handle stapling at that time if I need to. And then on day 4 is when I would do anything else that I need or that I missed or that like I have to create or like look for on TPT or whatever. So sometimes like I don't have all my math units ready like I want to. That's a goal. So sometimes I might have to make a math worksheet, even if I know what the lesson is. I'll need to make the sheet to kind of go with it or whatever. So I'll do that then. My mot du jour, I try to do a month ahead of time. So if you know what that is, I just print them all for the month. I cut them up and then I put them in a pile. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Or like if I have to laminate something, I actually prefer, I have a laminator in my classroom and sometimes I'll run it as I'm filling out my planner or whatever. I don't love to laminate at school. I prefer to laminate at home and I prefer to like batch it. So when I did my Phrase Fantastique, for example, I just took a day on a weekend. Yes, on the weekend, shoot me. But like I just took a day on a weekend and I did all of them. So like now to me, it was worth it because they're all done. So like, I don't mind doing that. If you don't like doing that, don't do it. Like find another way or time, or don't laminate it and like print it every year. Like my Cri LaSalle, I started laminating them and then I was like, you know what? It's 3 pieces of paper. I'm going to just print them on regular paper and throw them in the garbage. It's too much hassle to like find the laminated ones and keep them safe. So like now I don't laminate those ones. But like, I don't mind laminating at home. I can get my husband to help me. I can watch Netflix. But yeah, so the key is just find things that work for you. And kind of roll with it there. But during my prep, I'm pretty strict about this routine. I've worked hard on like following through on what I say as a person. So I'm pretty good now at following through on what I say in regards to that. And yeah, that's kind of how my prep routine looks every day. And I prep my whole week like this. So everything kind of goes that way. And I'm lucky because I'm at a point in my career where I've taught the same grade for multiple years. Like since COVID, I've taught since the second year of COVID. So I guess 2021, or September 2020, I guess it would be. I've taught grade 1. So like I have at this point a lot of things. And if you've taught different grades every year, I'm like, you have my utmost sympathy because I know it's really, really hard to like reinvent the wheel and do that. I really believe we should all be able to teach the same grade level for multiple years if that's what we want, because it's just so much work to switch grade levels. But that's what works for me. And even if you don't want to follow that exact same routine, like you don't have to. I just suggest making a routine for your prep so that you don't have to get to your prep and like think about, okay, well, what am I going to do today? Like you already know the decision. We make a lot of decisions in a day. So if you can front load any of those decisions and not have to think about them, it really helps. Okay. So I really believe you do have everything it takes to teach your students to read successfully and like to not feel like you're drowning every day. Some days we feel like we're drowning. And I think like, it's not that I support that as part of the job, but like, I agree that sometimes it's part of the job that we're overwhelmed and drowning and days are hard. And sometimes our kids are off the wall. And like, that is part of it, part of the job for now. Like maybe hopefully it won't be part of the job forever. It is like a girl can dream. But I do think you have everything that it takes to help your students and to be there for them and to teach them to read and to adjust your teaching to be more phonics focused now that we've been told to do it that way. So now the fork in the road is here. So if you're ready, like if you love what you learned in this webinar and you want like more support and you're ready to take your experience and your expertise and your students that you know, and you want to teach them how to read the way that they really learn, and you want to like do it in a way where like you don't have to create all the resources yourself and you don't have to like feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants and you have no support, and you want to like, you're willing to put in some of the work now to like make more flexibility and freedom later, like you're ready to build a routine now so that during the rest of the year you'll have more kind of freedom and you'll be better able to prepare and to plan. I do have a teach along opening up January 3rd for sounds. So this one's for sounds that are 2 or more letters. So if you're in maternelle, your students might not be ready for this one yet. If you're in première année or even deuxième année, it should be perfect for you. So it is, I call it teach along because I'm like in the classroom teaching it alongside of you. Like I will be doing these exact same things with my students at the exact same time. And when you go through the course with me, you don't have to look on TPT for resources that you don't have. You don't have to spend the time creating them from scratch. You don't have to feel like you've been told to change how you teach, but you have no support or guidance. And you don't have to like try to do more with less because your board won't give you what you need or the resources that you need or like teach you the strategies that you need. You can, like, I've been there, I've been around a few times, and I love helping other teachers like find success. So you can come and work with me as part of this course and learn what you need to know to like teach your students complex French sounds in 12 weeks. So I say 12 weeks because the course is 12 weeks long, but like you can stretch it out over more time. So like, for example, is 1 week for both AU and EAU inside of the course, but like I personally will spend 1 week on each of them. So, and like same as like on like AN, EN, like I'll spend a week on each of them. But I just didn't want to like drag it out for you. Like if you're in Disney M&A and your students already know those sounds and it's just a review, I didn't want to like make you wait to keep up. So it's 12 weeks, but like stretch it out. As I said, I do this from January to June. So I'm sure you can tell that you can stretch it out for longer if you want to. So it's like a weekly kind of program. There's 25 videos. You can slow down and speed up the videos if you need to. I have a video about each resource specifically, so you don't have to feel like you probably felt today when I was like quickly going through each one because I wanted to keep it done to an hour, but I guess we're going to be an hour and a half. So there's videos in there. There's tons of resources. There's over $250 worth of resources in there. All of the resources I have used in the past or I'm using currently. So remember, I've taught 2 grade levels with this kind of routine. So there's materials that I've used in both grade levels. So you will go through and like choose which ones work for you and your students. Over 300 teachers have already gone through it. And it's kind of based on 3 like main pieces. So there's a video vault, which is open like as of January 3rd. You can go in, you can watch the videos, you can watch them as many times as you want. You can see exactly how each resource works and like where it fits in my routine. You can choose, then you just like choose from there. Like, okay, which one do I want to try? Which one do I want to try? Which one do I want to try? You don't have to kind of second guess like how they were meant to be used. And it looks kind of like this. So when you log in, like you just see kind of like a list. So you can pick, okay, I'm interested in this resource, so I'm going to pick this video and learn about it. So it looks like a lot of videos, but you don't have to watch them all. Like just choose what works for you. And then there's another vault of like resources. So these are all the things I've created like over the past 10 years for each sound. And it gives like, you can choose again, which ones you want. It's everything I've made, but you pick which ones you want to use. So you can plug and play and like build your own routine, add things gradually. You can start with like 2 new things a week and then maybe try a 3rd thing or a 4th thing, whatever works for you. Most things are in the vault with like immediate access and you can get them right away. And then a couple others are released like every week, they kind of drip release, but we always prep a week ahead. So you'll have time to get them ready, those ones. So the resource vault, it has buttons like that. You just click it and it kind of opens up. And we have a Facebook group. I'll do 3 live like Q&A sessions like this. They're a little bit slower paced because I'm not trying to squeeze in an hour and a half of teaching into 1 hour. There's a challenge in the teach along with prizes. If you do the challenge, you get more out of it because you're like really following along. It kind of keeps you accountable. There's a video every week to kind of be like, okay, this week we're working on this sound. Here's the resources you can try. Here's some new resources for you kind of thing. You can win prizes. When you buy the course outright, you keep access for like as long as I have a business. So hopefully forever. And then sometimes there's resources that aren't available anywhere else, which I put this nice teach along exclusive spin on, which really just means I made these before and I have not had time to put them on TPT yet. So most people don't know they exist. For example, these sound crafts, I have a craft for each sound that like en comme cochon, for example, and I have never put them on TPT because I made them for last year's teach along. And it's a year later and I still haven't put them there. So there are some fun goodies in there that aren't available elsewhere that you can grab in there. So there's over $250 worth of resources in there, but the course itself costs $149. So I wanted to make sure that it was like enough of a deal that you don't feel bad if you don't use all the resources in there. Because there's $250 worth of resources plus like the videos and the lives and like this email and like yada, yada, yada. So if you don't use everything, you don't have to feel bad because you are still saving, like you're still coming out ahead. But if you don't want, like I want everyone who wants to have support with teaching phonics to be able to get it, no matter what your financial situation might be. So to thank you for coming to the webinar, I do have another way you can get in with a bigger discount. And this is not like a publicly shared thing. So if you have a colleague that wants to watch the webinar, maybe send them to the replay so they can kind of go through the webinar. Because what I don't like is when people just find it randomly and like come in and then it's like not what they were looking for and they wasted their money. Like I don't like when teachers waste their money. It's like we spend way too much money as it is. We shouldn't even have to. And you might be able to get your union to reimburse you. A lot of teachers get their school or their union to reimburse them for this. But like, I don't want anyone to waste their money. So since you've watched this webinar, you see the kinds of things that I do and the kind of resources that I use, you should have a good idea, especially after you look through the freebie, if it's going to work for you or not. But if somebody just joins like on this discount or whatever, and they come in and they're coming in blind, like it might not be what they're looking for. And then they end up feeling like they wasted their money, which is not what I want. And if you are a current membership member, this discount might confuse you. Don't watch about this discount, because if you're a membership member, you get a different discount, of course. So if you were in this teach along any other year and you're still a member, you already get access. So you need to wait and get the email of how you get in. Like, don't buy it again, because as part of your membership, you get it. If you're a new member and you didn't do this teach along before, like if you're a new member since whenever the last time I opened these doors were, you also you get a different discount. So you need to wait and check your email for your discount. Like, this discount will not be helpful to you because you're already a member. So if you're already a member, just as a heads up, don't maybe mute me here so I don't confuse you, because you're going to want to check your email next week for your specific instructions of how you come into this teach along. So just wanted to throw that out there, because I know it's confusing, because I have like 3 different ways to come into this one place. If you're not a member and if you also don't want to spend $149, I understand. If you don't want to, or you're unable to purchase it outright, but you want like all that support and the resources that are available, there is another way to join. Because when you join my French teacher membership after an event like this, like after a webinar, or after my summer challenge, your first teach along as a member is free as like a thank you for joining part of your membership. So you can join monthly or annual, like it's like a subscription-based model. So if you join monthly, you pay every month. If you join for the year, you pay every year, kind of thing. But as like a perk, as like a thank you for coming to listen to me talk for an hour and a half, your first teach along is free when you join after an event like this. So if you join my membership right now, your first teach along, which is Enseigner sans composer ensemble, will be free as part of your membership. So you don't, unfortunately, we don't have the tech to like let you pick and choose which teach along you get free. You have to do the free one that I'm rolling with in the moment and that I'm teaching with my students. So it is this one. But along with the teach along, you get like all the other membership perks. So you get like 5 resources each month. So there's 4 literacy, 1 math. There's a couple pictures here of ones like this one that I showed earlier. That's in the membership. This one's coming January 2nd when Leslie's back from vacation. If you're a member, January 2nd. There's this mot fréquent, like this is my high frequency words program that's new this year. It is not available anywhere else. It is only in the membership. It goes 1 sound at a time. It will line up perfectly with the teach along for you. I've got like writing things. I've got math things. I'm just about finished the math unit plan. Like it's a whole unit. They're usually like 100 pages. I'm not quite done it, but I assume it'll be around 100 pages for counting strategies and skip counting strategies for January. We have a monthly prep party. There's extra challenges with prizes, and you also get credit. So if I didn't give you like enough resources for whatever you need to teach, you get $20 worth of credits. So you can go into my online shop and get whatever else you need to like help you cover that month. It's a pretty good deal. This is the list of all the things, but I think my voice is too tired to read it. So it has basically, long story short, the total value of what you would get in just the first month is over $300 because you get the teach along, you get the $25 of resources, you get the $20 worth of credits. So the total value is over $300, but you can join at a special webinar only promo code rate. So if you join annually, you would pay $200 and you'd get the whole year. So you'll get $300 value in the first month, but you'll be a member for the whole year. You can buy the teach along alone for $149, or you can be a member for the whole year for $200. So I really want, if you want in, like I really want to make sure you can get in and that you don't waste your money, because I just don't want you to. Like I want to make sure you get out of it what you're looking for. So you have to use the code 50 off annual because it's usually $250 for the year for the membership. So use the promo code 50 off annual. I'll email you the link when I email the replay. And so it's a recurring subscription. So you pay $200 for your first year, and then the next year will be $250 like the regular rate. Or you can join for the month, like you pay monthly, and you can get $5 off. So instead of it's usually $25 a month. For the first month, you can pay $20. Again, you get $300 worth of things in the first month. So you can join for 20 and then every month after is 25 ongoing. So don't forget the promo codes. I'll email them to you though. Like you don't even have to write them down right now. As soon as this replay gets sent, you will have the codes and you'll have the link to join. But I just wanted to make sure that if you want, like if you like what I talked about in this webinar and you want more support like that and you want the resources that I use, like I want it to be accessible to everyone. So the main difference is if you purchase the teach along outright, where'd it go? I don't know. If you purchase the teach along outright, you keep it forever. But if it's part of your membership, then if you cancel your membership, you lose access to the teach along. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. It's kind of like the freeness of the perk of the teach along is that you're still an active member. So, and it ends at the end of your, like you lose access at the end of your billing cycle. So if you purchase like the annual one and then you cancel in like July or whatever, you still have access until next December 29th. Okay, so since teaching sounds is such a key factor in successfully turning your students into strong readers, and I know you don't all teach grade 1 or 2, and your students might not be ready for like digrams and trigrams. This past fall, I did the same sort of teach along like with a similar routine, but just for vowels. So like A, E, I, O, U, accent aigu, which was 8 weeks, I think, or maybe it was 6 weeks, but I did it over 8 weeks in my own classroom. And it's not the teach along. I did not offer it to anybody who wasn't already a member. Like I was just tired in the fall. And I was like, I'm just going to give this to membership members. We're just going to roll through this together. Like I didn't have the energy to like tell everybody all about it. So if you missed it, it's because I didn't really talk about it. But if you join on the annual rate, that was the $200 one, you can also, I'll give you access to this one like as a second bonus, because I know your students might not be ready yet for like digrams and trigrams. Like you might want to start with vowels, especially if you're in maternelle, like this one would be a better fit for you, but it's not available anywhere else. Like it's not in my teach along library yet. We just wrapped it up right before the break. So the easiest way that I felt like I could get it to you would be to just offer it as a second bonus. The only thing is you won't get access to this one until January 8th, because we have to wait. Like the membership will be open from now until January 7th. And we have to wait to see how many people sign up before we can like send you like the access to this as a bonus. So just keep that in mind, because we have to like sort who joined annual, who joined monthly kind of thing. So you'll get access to this one on January 8th though, instead of January 3rd. So there's over $150 worth of resources in here. Again, things that aren't available anywhere else, like the sight word program. So that's only on the annual rate that you can get both teach alongs as a bonus. And Leslie, my OBM, was like, are you sure you want to do both? But I do. Like, I just want to make sure all of you have what you need to teach in this new way that was thrown at us. Okay, so FAQs, and then I think we're done. Then I can ask you for questions. An hour and a half. That's not my worst. It might be my worst. Okay, so when does it start? So when you join the membership, you get instant access to what's in the portal right this minute, which is December stuff. So when you go in, download your December stuff right away. I said in here it changes on January 2nd. I think Leslie and I decided to change it to be January 8th to make sure everybody who joins gets time to grab the December stuff. So in the portal, things switch out every month. So you need to just download it before it switches. Usually switches on the 1st of the month. Leslie's on vacation on the 1st of the month this year because it's New Year's Day. So it's going to be January 2nd that the January stuff goes up this time. And we're going to leave the December stuff there as well until January 7th. So just make sure that you download it, or January 8th, right? Make sure that you download it before then, because then it's going to disappear. On January 2nd, we add the January stuff to the membership portal. On January 3rd, the like resource and video vault inside of Enseignant les Autres Ensemble will open up to you. So today, if you join, you'll get to go in the membership portal, but not the teach along portal. It's not quite ready yet. The doors to the teach along don't open until January 3rd. And then after that, like if you're in the teach along, everything comes out weekly on Sunday, starting, I think it's January 7th, that's the Sunday. So like over 12 weeks, you'll get more stuff every single week. As I said on the last slide, if you join at the annual rate, your free bonus access to the vowels teach along starts January 8th, because we need that time to like figure out how many people, like who exactly joined on the annual rate while the membership doors were open. If you can't come to the lives or can't follow my pace, that is no problem. Like the replays all stay up in the Facebook group. They're all emailed out. If you buy the teach along outright on January 3rd, you'll have access to it for as long as I have a business. If you get it as part of your membership, you keep access for as long as you're a member. So you just always go at your own pace and the pace of your students. That is what I want most of all. And if you want to see examples of the resources that will be included, I have a freebie for you where you can find all of the things that I use for the sound ah. So this link here, bit.ly/focusonphonics freebie, all lowercase. If somebody wants to type that link in the chat for me, I would love that. You can open it up. It will be, this link will work, I think, until January 8th, which is also when the replay will come down. So make sure you download what you want before January 8th. And if you want to watch the replay, watch it before January 8th, because it's going to come down. So check them out, see what you like. You can, a lot of them are on TPT, so you can price it out and be like, well, if I wanted to buy this standalone, would it make more sense to just join the membership for $20 or $200? Or does it make more sense to buy them one-on-one? Like whatever makes the most sense for you is what I want, because I want it to be worth it for you and I want you to have what you need. So the freebie looks like this. It's like a menu kind of, and then you just click on whichever one you want to see and it will open up. So it's for all of the ones for all. So like when you open it, even though like the main resource of this has a lot of sounds, well, it doesn't even exist yet. It's going to be inside of the membership, inside of the teach along story, which you can get as part of the membership. So you'll see like just the 4 for the sound ah, 3, 4 for the sound ah that are in there, not like the other sound, because it's just a sample for ah. Like when you open up this one, you'll see the 2 activities for ah. So all of them are in here. If it is on TPT, I popped a link there for you if you want to see the full one, if you want to like price things out and see what makes sense to you, so you can get what you want and what you need in like the most economical way. The video one just opens direct to the video. So when you want to show this to your students, like you'll want to just open it from there. The actual resource has like a menu kind of thing as well, but it was too complicated. So the video just opens up. There is no sound to this video. You have to read it or have your students read it as you go, and you can slow it down, speed it up, etc. So that is the freebie. Hopefully somebody typed the link in the chat, because I don't think I can highlight it. But it's bit.ly/focusonphonics freebie, all one word, all lowercase. That is the freebie for you. And then I did put in the slides some testimonials. I'm not going to read them out loud because it makes me feel awkward to read them out loud, but you can read them in your slides that I sent you about the membership. And I just wanted to say, like, I've been working really hard since 2022 when we first were kind of, you know, the rumblings of science of reading started. And I realized like what my hiccups about leveled readers and stuff weren't me being crazy, like it was actually me being logical. So I've been trying to learn like everything I can about phonics and how to better teach my students to learn to read. And I really would love to help you feel like you're also learning a lot and becoming the best version of like teaching a reading teacher that you can be, without feeling like burnt out and overwhelmed and like you have no support and you're completely on your own, because we're not. We're together. I'll sing y'all a psalm. We're together, and we would love to have you in there as well. Okay, I need some water. If you have a question, type it on in. I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, hello. Okay. I'm just going to check if anyone. Oh, thank you so much, Lori and Annie and Michelle, for putting the freebie link. Okay. So there's a lot of questions. Okay. I don't know if I can answer them all. I don't know if I can scroll down far enough. It stops me from scrolling down all enough. Okay, I'm going to see what I can see for now. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Can't hear Leah. I'm sorry. Hopefully in the replay you'll be able to hear Leah. Oh, so in French. Oh, so in French in Ontario, it's the same as here. So French immersion curriculum changed, but not Francophone school as well. That is interesting. Or not French immersion. French first language. Oh, so French. Okay. So not French immersion. Gotcha. You fly as well. Okay. Oh, was I frozen? Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Sorry. I hate when I'm like reading. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Yeah. JV plus is so hard. Yeah, at least that's very annoying that you have to test them on sounds that they haven't seen before. So that's kind of why I feel like even in Metro now, like I would argue like I have an outcome in maternelle that's like that they can produce all 36 phonemes like orally, but I feel like we should show them all the phonemes, because how do you learn, like not expect that they know them all, but show them to them, because how can they read without them? I don't know. Yeah. Only one set of books, so they could only read one book, and when they came to grade 2, they had no idea how to read. Like that's the thing. Okay. Guacamole sans Danielle. I actually just Googled it when I ordered it. Like I was in charge of pricing it out for all the teachers and like making a list of what we needed. It was very stressful for me. But I just Googled guacamole sans, and it took me to, I want to say it wasn't even their own website. It was like a different publishing company, but they had everything. And I got like the storybook for guacamole alphabet for maternelle, both teachers, the storybook for première, like pour guacamole sans for première année. I got some of the alphabet cards because I thought I would use them more in small groups. I haven't actually used them that much. So like if I had to drop something, if you have a budget, I'd probably drop those because I thought I would use them a lot and I haven't. And I got the posters, like all the posters for all of the sounds, and they're all up in my classroom. Oh, thank you. Another Andrea. Okay. Oh, videos. I don't know, Katrina. I don't know if I can take videos of me in action. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I will consider it. I don't know. I still feel like it's weird in this. Like, I know we live in a time where like teachers just set up their tripods and like film themselves teaching and make it into Instagram reels, but like I still feel weird about it. But if you're in Nova Scotia, anyone, I love having teachers come in and do like une journée de jumelage, like if you're with the CSAP, but also the English boards. Like I've had people come in and just spend the day with me. Like if you're local to me, ask for it. I'm at the French school in Cookville. But Katrina, I will consider taking videos in action. I don't know. There's been a few times where I've done my phonemic awareness slides with my students, and they're just like, I'm so proud of them that I'm like, I want to take a video and show everyone, but I haven't yet. So Natalia, so some things might be easy for grade 3 French immersion, but I don't know for sure. Like I know my grade 3 teacher last year was like, I had to review all the sounds with my students because they didn't know, because they were like kind of a rough COVID crew. The kids that are in grade 4 this year were in my class in maternelle when COVID hit. So for her in grade 3 last year, like it would have been really helpful because her students didn't know their sound. So I would assess your students, Natalia, and see, like get some data on like how many sounds do they know and how many sounds do they not know, and then kind of maybe decide from there if you can. So Lisa, the sequence I teach the sound. So I do, yes. If you, I don't know the order off my head, but if you do the teach along, it shows you the sounds that I do for like the digrams and trigrams. Like we go through it, it's dripped out like a week at a time. So like it's the sound. I'm like, okay, this week we're prepping on. This week we're teaching and prepping ooh. This week we're teaching ooh and prepping oh, or whatever. For the alphabet, I have an alphabet teach along where I go through the order as well, but I also feel like it's in like a blog post or something of mine. But long story short, when I do the alphabet, I start with like long consonants, then vowels, because then you can blend right away, and then like the shorter consonants and like the weird tricky letters. But there's also like a sequence in guacamole sans where it's like, you can do it in any order, but like start with this chunk of sounds. Like there's only like 10 sounds, and it's like the order of these sounds doesn't matter, but like start with them, which is kind of like the long consonant thing. And then this one, and then this one. So there's there's no like number one best way of orders as far as I've found, but there's like recommendations of like groupings of letters, I guess. So like within the grouping, you can kind of go in any order, but they recommend like to stick with the grouping, if that makes sense. Yes, so the slides, you should have gotten an email with the slides, and I want to say like an hour before the webinar, but another email will go out with the slides after with the replay. Oh, good, Christy. Okay, so for the JK French immersion students, I definitely would work a lot on phonological awareness. So like rhyming, hearing sounds, but like all orally. So you can use pictures to like help you, but like not adding the letters yet necessarily, but like we really need our kids to understand that words are made up of units of sounds, and then sentences are made up of words, and like be able to hear the sounds, because I didn't know this until this year, but kids don't know that words are made up of individual sounds until we tell them. Like they just don't realize it. So the earlier we can start telling them and getting them to realize and like start to identify and listen for sounds and words, like that's where we really want to start with like our JK kids, and like preschool kids and things like that, like orally really listening for the sounds in words and like understanding like shara, like they rhyme. A rhyme means 2 words end with the same sound. Mouton, mange, like those start with the same sound, like that kind of thing. And Marissa, perfect. Okay. Sorry, Rochelle. I know I talk really fast. I'm sorry. But when you get the replay, hopefully you can slow me down or like repeat me or whatever. I know I talk fast is the thing. Okay, Michelle, I think I already answered about mot du jour and mot de la semaine. Okay, so Tracy, for my reading groups now. So I do have 2 groups of students who have shown, like, proven to me that, like, about half, again, like that 40%. So that 40% of kids that are going to read no matter what. So that 40% of kids is doing really well. And I do, like, they'll read, like, Je vais plus. Like, I have some kids that I give, like, C7 bit, like whatever. So I pick kind of a goal for them. So I might be like, okay, like, look, this book has 150 words. Like, let's see if you can read that many words kind of thing. But I never talk about the level. I only talk about like, look how many words you read. But so I do the JB Plus with the kids who have shown me that they know enough sounds. Like I've assessed them and I know they know enough sounds. I understand how reading works. Yada, yada, yada. At this point in the year, almost everybody, like I will work, like once they get to where I would consider like a real like niveau 4-5 and up, like I'll add one. I'll read, they still take the paper books and I still tell their parents, this is what I want them to read, number 1 priority, but I'll give them like a level reader per week to work on vocabulary, stamina, or just to enjoy. Crystal, Literacy Centers is its own webinar. I did Literacy Centers last year in my webinar, so I need another whole hour to tell you all about them. But I do have probably some blog posts. I have a teach along about Literacy Centers actually, which is available in my teach along library. So maybe I'll put that there for you. And as a side note, if you join the membership annually, you get a lot of credits up front. Like you get your whole year's allotment of credits up front. So if there's a teach along you want to purchase, you can purchase them with your credits. So this was kind of my solution of like, sometimes people might want to learn about literacy centers when I'm not ready to teach about literacy centers, or like you might want to learn about the alphabet when I'm not teaching, like I'm all done with the alphabet. And I only have the bandwidth to do 1 teach along at a time. So it was kind of like obviously I'm teaching writing at the same time as I'm teaching reading, but like I can't run both teach alongs. So now I have a teach along library. I'll pop the link in the chat. So if you're not a member, you can purchase teach alongs with like, I think PayPal or a credit card. If you are a member, you can purchase teach alongs with your membership credits. If you have been a member for a long time and you've like saved a bunch of them, then you're good to go. If you're a new member, but you go annual, you get your whole year. I think it's, oh my gosh, I think it's like 460 credits for the whole year. So like they would pop into your account as soon as the transaction goes through. So you can buy a teach along with that if there's something like literacy centers you want to learn about that's not like running right now. But I do them at the end of the day. They're kind of my last priority now because there's so much that my students still need whole group. It might be different later in the year where like we all have the basics kind of down pat. And so then I might swap out. I might only do 30 minutes of phonics, like this kind of routine, and tack on another half hour of centers where I can pull the groups, like if I just have a few students who still aren't getting it kind of thing. So yeah, we see, I'm flexible. This is why I don't like the question of what's your schedule, because sometimes like it's just a snapshot of one point in the year. It changes. Oh, thank you, Natalia. That's really nice. Copy limits. Oh, that's a good point. I don't have copy limits. I'm sorry if you have copy limits. So Jessica says she has copy limits. So she uses the plastic folders and then they can rotate. So that's perfect. I love that. I don't have that. Yeah. Kim, this is an updated teach along from the membership. If you were a member before, like, and you're still a member, you get the updated version included in your membership. If you were a member, like you're an alumni, but you're not a membership member anymore, you get a different email with an alumni rate. But no matter what, if you've done the teach along before, watch your email because we will let you know how to do it, but it's kind of different for everybody. So yeah, so Kim, you'd get the updated version. So BBL. It is very similar to last year. I think there's only a couple new things in it, but if you purchased it in previous years outright, you get a very an expensive alumni rate. I think it's $24 for the whole thing. I can't remember exactly. Leslie's on vacation, so she kind of does that techie side, but we will like email you and be like, here's how you join again at the alumni rate, here's how you join at the membership rate, etc. Yeah, so Angela, the December bundle is different. That is just like December themed resources like Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, etc. So that's different than the membership, which is more like outcome based, where everything kind of lines up with an outcome and it's not thematic like for holidays. Thank you, Diana. Okay. Suggest on teaching phonics base when the following grade teach. I know, that's so tough. Okay, so I still do have to do level readers because that is the expectation of my board. So I just make sure to like put a bigger emphasis on phonics. And I will say that by putting the bigger emphasis on phonics, if I hand my students a level reader now, they do a lot better. There is nobody who stares at the page and stares at me like I have 3 heads and like they don't know what to do. Like they will all now try to like sound out the words and go. I only have one student who still will like start and then like halfway through the sentence like make up whatever he wants. And I have to be like, no, like look at this. And I know he doesn't practice at home. I talk to his parents and teacher and I'm like, listen, he's very bright and I know he can do it, but he's not practicing, which is like, I was like, to each their own, it's their own choice. But like, I just want you to know that like, it's not clicking yet. But I know like he will be able to do it. He just needs a little more practice. But I am finding that when I really teach phonics based, they're transferring their knowledge so much better to other scenarios that I feel like if you incorporated some leveled readers even closer to the end of the year, like in the 3rd term, I think you'd be surprised and impressed by how much they actually can get through those leveled readers when you move to grade 3. So if you have a teacher in the next year from you that does leveled readers and you want to like teach to the test and set your students up for the leveled readers, like I would just kind of wait to put a bigger focus on them at the end of the year and try to like front load your year with really a lot of phonics and like, this is how reading works. You are so welcome. I'm also really sorry that by the first 30 minutes you had to look at a blank screen. Okay, so Katrina, good question. What do I do with the copies daily? So I have a duotang for every month. They cost 10 cents, so it was like $1 a kid to have 10 duotangs, so I felt like it was worth it. So they put every single thing in that one duotang, like math, literacy, everything goes in the one duotang except writing. We have a separate writing folder. That's another webinar. But I have a September duotang. I had an October duotang, and at the end of the month, it all just goes home in their backpack. And parents love it because they can see what we did that month. Like they don't have to wait for the duotang to be like December. Like I used to do like 2 duotangs for literacy a year. So like they had to wait till like January to see what we were doing. So this way they see everything every month. It is 1 duotang per month, which you might not like. You could always empty it at the end of the month and send it home. I just find it easier to just send it with everything. And then the parents can recycle it. I tell them like, look through it. You can recycle it as you will. As a parent, Leah's teacher does the same thing. And I love getting her duotang at the end of the month. It's a big highlight for me. And I can look through and read the funny stories that she writes. It's fun. Yeah, Katrina, come see me. So yeah, I think that's it. If you have any more questions, pop them in. Oh, I had another poll and I forgot to do it, but that's okay. All right, so I see a lot of people that had their hand raised to speak, but if I click yes to you, you will pop up on the screen with your camera. So we don't want to do that. So just make sure you go to chat and otherwise I will, this Q&A only. Oh, I found more Q&As. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I answered that. You should get an email with the link to join the membership very soon. As soon as I don't know how long it takes. This one like automatically sends the replay, so I don't know how many minutes it takes, but it should be pretty soon. After I'm done, you'll get an email with the link, although I guess I can put the link in right now as well. Hold on, let me find it. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, if you don't want to wait for the email with the link to the membership. Oh, no, I did it wrong. Hold on. The second one, not the one with the A at the end. Okay. So if you want to not wait for the email and you want to check out the membership page, it's there. I just didn't put the bonuses on it because I'll share that same page with like the rest of the people who didn't come to the webinar, but they don't get the bonuses. So this page, you can join from it, but you won't see the bonuses listed, but you'll still get the bonuses. Okay, so continue with autism, HD, LD, and special needs. So that is definitely trickier. I would work with your team on there. So in this case, like I do defer kind of to what the resource teacher suggests, and like we work as a team to kind of figure out what works for those students the best. I do know that teaching to the code can work a lot better for students who have learning disabilities, because those are the students in the percentage that aren't going to learn to read no matter what you do. Like they need to know the explicit code. They need to know what sound each letter makes and each combination of letters makes, and they need practice putting them together. I did have a student with autism who was taught the code and relied so heavily on the code that it was inefficient. And he was like not anticipating what would come next. He wasn't paying attention to what he was reading, like, because he was just kind of like regurgitating, like reciting the code, but like not paying attention. So that's something to watch out for. Like it can sound like in his case, and this could happen to anybody, but it sounded like he was reading well because phonetically he was reading well, but he couldn't tell me a thing about what he read. So in that case, like I would really focus on comprehension and things like that. Again, there's a lot of things that come together to help a kid learn to read, but definitely work with your team and the resource teacher and see that. Okay, so Christy, how do I stay on top of marking? So when I do a formative, wait, I can't remember which one it is in English, like the big assessment, like when I assess my students, like their sounds and their letters and things like that, I don't usually send home. So I send home their completed work at the end of each month because it's in their do a tang. If I look at it, I put a sticker on it so parents know that like I've seen this work. It's most of the work. Like they bring it, like I circulate kind of thing, or they'll bring it to me before they put in their do a tang and I check it. Not every day is perfect, so it doesn't always work out that way, that we have time to do it that way. So if it doesn't have a sticker, I just tell parents like I did not get to see this piece of work before they put it away. And then when I do like assessments, like for report cards or whatever, it's usually one-on-one style. So it takes a long time. We do a lot of like free play centers at that time, but like it is what it is. I haven't really found a better way yet. I do assess like letters and sounds using a slideshow, which works a lot faster than my previous method of it. So at the end of each term, I also have I sent an email about this a couple months ago maybe, and I meant to follow up with another one, but I didn't. That's just reminding me. I have a grille kind of where I put every outcome for the term that we're going to cover. And I print one out for each student. And then as we go through the term, when they show me they've mastered it or whatever, I check in the column, and it's the same columns as like the report card. So we have in Nova Scotia, like bien développé, so like they got it, on développement, so like they need to practice, or like à développer, so they need to learn it. And then I just checked off for each outcome as we go. And I don't think I have a picture of it or anything with me right now, but I did send it in an email in maybe November. If you're on my email list in November, you can check back and look for it. And then at the end of the term, right before report cards go home, I send that to parents because I'm like, this is exactly what your child's mark is based on, like to a T. You can see exactly why they got the mark that they got. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm sorry I don't have that right in front of me, but I did send an email in November. So if you were on my list, then you would have got it, but it's just basically like a list of all the outcomes for the term. And then like I check off if it's well developed, if they need to practice, if they need to learn it. Boo to paper. I'm sorry that you're limited on paper. So a lot of SK teachers do come in my membership. JK, I don't really know anything about in Nova Scotia. JK is just taught by early childhood educators, and they're like totally separate. Like we would never combine JK and SK here, like never. It's like a whole different thing. So like I'm not sure. But if you look at the resources that are in the freebie, you probably get a better idea. I would guess probably not as much, because what you would really want to focus on is phonemic awareness. Which I do give slides in the membership every month, but that's just kind of one piece of the membership every month. So I don't know if it would be a good fit. I'm really more like SK1, 2 kind of thing. I haven't seen Haggerty, but I would love to, but I haven't seen it. And then so my scope and sequence, hold on. I have not exactly that, but I have a filled annual plan document, which this summer I did a challenge, like a 5-day challenge for free, where I shared how I make my annual plan. So I can share you my annual plan. Annie in the chat. And then, okay, so that Google Doc is like a spreadsheet, which shows my ideal life, scope and sequence. I think we're already behind now by a week. No, we're not. We're good. Okay. So, well, I'm going to do S, I think, not this week. I'm going to do it next week. So I will be a week behind, but that's okay. So yeah, that is that. And I guess there's a replay link in there, which I think will still work if you want to watch the video that I did for the challenge when I talked about it. It's in the bottom, like highlighted in yellow. Okay. Oh, what kind of planner do I use? I got one from Berto & Co. this year. However, I was dinged with duty fees, which I was not expecting, and like made it way out of my budget for a teacher planner. So I don't know if I can recommend Berto & Co. I love the planner. However, I was not prepared to spend $100 on a planner, but the duty fees were more than the planner itself. Pretty much, almost. Well, duty plus shipping was more than like the actual planner. So that is what I use. I've used Erin Condren before. I've made my own and printed it at Staples before. I've used Happy Planner, but I didn't like it. But I need a planner that has like the columns with the blocks like that. I can't do one where it's like Monday, Tuesday. Like I can't. It has to be like Monday, block, 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 block. Tuesday, block, 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 block. Tia has one, Parfait Ma Parnell on TPT, and I used that one for a couple of years. It just was like, it's so expensive to print that I was like, I might as well just buy one already printed and like save the time of binding it on the disc things. But I don't know that it was actually cheaper. Tia's might be the best bet, and go printing it at Staples. Okay. I think that's all. I will let you go. I need some water and some lunch. But if you have any any questions, or you can fire an email. I think I have Pat and Leslie that help with the inbox as well. So one of us should get back to you, hopefully sooner rather than later, but it is the weekend and Leslie is on vacation. So just keep that in mind, but we will do our best. The Berto & Co. Or Tia's. I'll share you Tia's because I don't know. I like the Berto & Co, but like, I just don't feel comfortable recommending you to have $100 planner unless your school's going to pay for it, I guess. I do that a lot though, like more often than I care to admit, is I forget about duty fees, and then yeah, they're huge. So let's see if I can find Tia's Ultimate French and English Editable. So what I liked about Tia's is I could edit it before I printed it, so I can make it very much exactly what I needed. I didn't have to print anything I didn't want. All right, that's the link to Tia's planner on TPT. Thank you so much. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry I talked for half an hour and didn't realize nobody was here. You guys are the best. I appreciate you, and I will send that replay will get sent out whenever it gets sent out, I guess. I don't know. I'll be checking. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon.